What's going on, YouTube family? Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most controversial topics in my industry. Why do so many people hate car dealerships? Now, we're going to go over the reasons why, some of the things that played a role in it, not only as dealer operations, but as society as a whole. What made us face and view dealerships in this negative light? Now, if you were to Google the most hated people on earth, car dealerships are somewhere between like Hitler and politicians. That's how bad it is. So we want to address all these things and talk about why it wasn't always like this and how we can actually turn the tables and go back to the way it used to be. But before I do, if you do me a huge favor and gently squeeze the like button for YouTube algorithm and also find more amazing people like yourselves that enjoy automotive content. Also, please consider subscribing. We do post 2 times a week, so make sure you click the notification bell. And once again, follow us on Instagram at Lucky Lopez, and let's get into the video. So let's go ahead and start from the beginning. When Henry Ford created the first automotive assembly line, it revolutionized the industry and the world. They were able to not only keep up with the supply and demand from their local stores, they were able to actually, more importantly, expand their empire. Now, back in the day, if you weren't around their few local stores, you had to order your car through an actual catalog. And I think it was Sears and Roebuck's back then where you can actually order a vehicle. Now, if you were brave enough to order your vehicle through a catalog, and once you received your vehicle and you weren't around any of these local dealerships, there was no way for them to explain how to work your car. What do you do? How do you function? If you have questions after the sale. They had a traveling factory rep that would go from city to city explaining if you have any questions on your vehicle. So sometimes you had to wait weeks, even months, to meet these people to find out how to actually work your vehicle. And Henry Ford knew that this was not acceptable. His idea was to put a car in every American home to make it a part of American life. Now, back then, cars were viewed as a luxury item. They weren't viewed as something as transportation, something that can help you get to work, something that can help your family, but more importantly, help your business make money. And Henry Ford knew that if we could build centers where you can physically touch the cars, see the cars, talk to people that were experts in this field, which is your sales reps, they'd be able to explain how this car can benefit you, how you can make money off of it, and how it can better your life. So that's where the first original franchise dealer agreement came from, which is very similar to the ones we have today. But not only that, they realized that after we do the sale, what about the service? What about the parts? So that was the next logical step. Not only do we have somebody that can tell you the car and how it works, but if you have any problems along the way, we can give you the parts. So now it's a profit center, so you can make money, keep your cars on the road, and then also the experts and the people that can fix these cars. Because back in the day, if you weren't around a dealership, you had to pray that either you knew enough about fixing cars or you would go to like a local tractor mechanic and see if they can actually fix your car. That's how crazy it was back then. But that's why franchise dealers are so important. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about Tesla real quick. Let's fast forward to the future. You know, when you have an issue with a Tesla, you have to go on your app, you have to email, you can't call anybody. It's a big pain in the butt. Now, let's say you're driving your Tesla and all of a sudden your window goes down and it's stuck and it won't go up. You know, with the local franchise store, you could walk in, hey, I need how much for a regulator? Oh, it's going to be $60. It'll take 2 weeks to get in. Okay, how much would it cost to put in? Let's take you to service. They'll do this. They'll tell you, okay, it's going to take you 2 hours. We can get you in tomorrow. Okay, cool. At least you have some sort of justification. When it comes to Tesla, try to walk into a dealership and ask them how much it will cost for parts. One thing, they don't even have a parts center. They're usually in the back in the service bays. They're hard to get to. And then even if you do, the people that are there tell you to either use your app to ask about parts or to email them. And then 9 times out of 10, they don't keep any supplies on stock. That's why dealerships are so important to the ecosystem and why I believe that they shouldn't go away. Now, not to say that, you know, every dealership is great, so we're gonna go ahead and roll into some of the things that they do as bad. And we're gonna be talking about the 4 main things. So let's go into the 4 categories. We're gonna talk about sales, service, parts, and finance. Let's get into the first one, which is sales. As a sales rep, your job is to be a professional and learn everything you can about each model on your dealership. So when the consumer comes in, you can help educate them and help the consumer make the correct buy. Now, that was your job. There was no pressure. You were there to greet, uphold the brand, be professional. But for some reason, we lost this trend back in the 70s. That's when a lot of the franchise stores started pushing these insane commission structures as well as bonus structures from the actual factory. What I mean by that is a lot of these franchise stores get massive bonuses if they were to sell over their normal allotment of cars. So if you were issued, let's say, 100 F-150s a year and you sold 125 of them, you would get an additional bonus once you sold your 100 and plus an additional bonus every maybe 25 cars you would sell. That's how it was. Now, once this happened, just like crack to drug addicts, dealers were hooked. They realized that this is what they wanted. They wanted the big bonuses. They wanted the big commissions. How do we get more of it? And this is what gave birth to the, I guess, scummy or pushy sales guy, because now they went from being a factory-based professional to just somebody that was good in sales. They started hiring people to train their salespeople to do forceful sales. It became the era of, it doesn't matter what the consumer wants, just sell them the car, sell them the car, sell them the car. Now, if you Google used car salesman or car salesman, you'll see this guy like in a plaid jacket with sideburns. That literally spells it all out. And if you don't believe me, watch this movie. It's called Used Cars with Kurt Russell. Absolutely hilarious. But that's the way it was back in the day. It was the Wild West. There was no regulations. You could lie straight up to consumers, and there was nothing they could do. And people got away with it for so long. And little by little, it just spun out of control. Nowadays, if you try to walk into a dealership and you're like, yeah, I just want to look at a car, stuff like that, you are literally bombarded like, hey, what's your name? What's your phone number? Give me your phone number. Give me your name. And then you just stand over your shoulder like a parrot. What are you doing? Are you going to buy? Do you want to test drive? What's going on? Hey, man, I'm right here. Are you wasting my time? It's not supposed to be like that. You know, back in the day, dealerships used to be like malls. You could walk into a mall, you know, even if you don't want to buy anything. You just walk around the store, hang out with your wife or significant other, do a little bit of shopping, and it was very relaxed, and usually it led to some sort of sales. But now, dealerships like used to be able to walk like that too. But now, like I said, you cannot walk into a dealership without being, like I said, greeting is okay. I want to be greeted. But I don't want to be harassed for my phone number, my name, right when I walk in the door. Even me doing dealer training irritates the shit out of me when I do that. And these BDC guys and these sales managers say that that's the way to do it. You gotta capture the customer. You gotta get their name and phone number. Bullshit. Make the customer happy, make them comfortable, and then they'll give you the information. If I don't know you, it's just like going up to a hot chick. If you walk up to a hot chick and say, give me your number, they're just gonna laugh at you. If you say, hey, my name's so-and-so, and you start being funny and you make them relaxed and they're comfortable around you, and then you ask for a phone number, more than likely you're going to get it. But hey, that's just sales 101. I like to make people feel comfortable before we actually do anything. These guys, I don't know who in the hell's training these new salespeople, but it's basically just ramming it down their throat. Force, force, force. And it's ruined the industry. But anyways, if you have anything like that, please put in the comment section below. If you have stories from the 70s and 80s, definitely tell us, because if you guys think it was rough then, maybe now, it was completely different back then. Now we're going to go into service real quick. Service, the reason why dealers are hated so much is because back then, the warranties were very simplistic because cars were simplistic. If anything broke on the car, it was in black and white. It was the motor, transmission. Here it is. This is what we're going to fix. No issues, no problems. But as cars started to evolve and get more complicated with electronics and things of that nature, it started splitting off into different, I guess, trees of what they're going to fix. So before it was motor and transmission. Now is it hybrid systems and batteries, electronic components, navigation, interior components, sunroof. All these crazy things started adding up, and a lot of the factories were not standing by their warranties. Now, in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, most cars had horrendous warranties, and they had so many recalls. Now, when it comes to build standards and quality, factories now are held at a higher standard than they were back then. Because if 30,000 people came in and complained about the same brake problem, it would be issued as a recall, and then they'd be forced to repair it because it was a manufacturer's defect. Back then, none of that stuff. Unless people were dying, burning up, I think it was Pintos, people would get hit from the back end and cars would explode. And I think it took them years and years before they actually switched it out so cars wouldn't blow up like that. But stuff like that just didn't exist back then. And so now, through those years, people have just grown this deceptive hate with dealerships. And as the parents tell their kids tell their kids, and it's passed down. I can literally go to anybody in my family and say, hey, tell me a great experience you had at a dealership. None will say anything. Next thing we're going to talk about is parts. Now, I don't really have too much to say about parts because parts are parts. But one thing I don't like is if I know the manufacturing cost of a part is $30 and you're charging me $690, it is absolutely ridiculous. I understand parts is a profit center, but you got to make it more affordable. You're losing business to companies like AutoZone, O'Reilly's. When I can go buy an AC compressor for $250, but I got to go buy a factory one for $680, and they have the same Denso logo and the same box and everything else. And I don't know if you guys know this, but automotive techs will probably chime in the comment section. When you order parts sometimes from AutoZone and O'Reilly's and it comes in a factory box and you pay less, it's the exact same part. They just lowered the price compared to when you go there as a dealer as a regular person trying to buy it. So there's a little fun fact for you. So that's the only thing I have a problem with. Make the parts more affordable. Be reasonable. I understand you got to make money, but th00% crazy margins of 300-400% on an AC compressor is absolutely ridiculous. Financing. This is why I believe why people freaking hate dealerships. The deceptive practices. You know, back in the day, now I'm going to talk real back about 70s and 80s and 90s. If you signed a contract, there was no consumer rights, there was no Fair Credit Act, none of that shit. So if you signed a contract for $30,000 and the car was worth $10,000, you were absolutely screwed. There was nothing you can do. The deal was between you and the bank. The dealership would make all the money and you were pretty much left holding the bag. You know, there was no structured way. Where now, even if you do buy a car, they go 130, 140, 150% of LTV, you know, so they still go high, but nothing like back in the day where they could sell you the car for 2-3 times the value. And I've seen some stories from some of these older sales guys, which I'm going to bring on the channel, just absolutely hilarious of the crazy stuff they used to get away with. But let's talk about financing real quick. Now, when you get beat up by the sales guy, you know, now you're talking to the GM, you get closed. You went through maybe an hour, 2 hours of just getting absolutely beat up and pummeled in sales. And you finally sit down at the desk, okay, all I got to do is sign the paperwork and we're good to go. We agreed on some numbers, everything is good to go. I know what my payment is, my down payment, and then you sit in front of the finance guy and all of a sudden, your payment doubles. They ask you for more down payment. He said you had to throw in these other options, stuff like that. And now these consumers are upset because, hey man, I just got my ass kicked for 2.5 hours. You're telling me that you want to charge me an extra $3,000 for a warranty, even though my car's got maybe a new car with 3 or 36,000 mile warranty. Why am I going to buy a $200 keychain? I see floor mats on here. Oh, well, this is normal stuff. It's standard. VIN stickers. Like anybody that sells VIN stickers, stop that shit. I'm not paying $800 for a sticker with my VIN number on it. My VIN number is already all over the car. It doesn't have to be part of your profit center. Take that shit out. As these consumers are sitting in the finance box, they're just getting beat up and pummeled and lied to over and over again. Now, I believe that there's nothing wrong with making money off of the consumer because you need to make money to operate your business. I understand that as a dealer, but I am not stupid enough or arrogant enough or just flat out dumb enough to try to sell a $200 keychain, to sell tire protection, interior protection, paint protection. Stop it. If you want to ask them, folks, would you like an aftermarket warranty? Cool. Okay, I know this is not going to benefit you guys, but I got you 3% interest, but instead I'm going to charge you 6% interest so I can make an extra $1,500 in the back end. How's that sound, folks? People are going to get upset. So just be honest, be transparent. You know, I just don't understand the whole deceptive practices. If you agree to one thing in sales and then as soon as you get to finance, you get beat up again, it is the most absolutely worst feeling. Even to me, like I said, I'm a dealer. And when I bought my R8, they still tried that with me twice at the sales desk and at the finance guy. And both times before I started, I did the same thing. I always do this and I recommend you do the same thing. Be very quiet, talk softly, say, hey, look, before we get started, slap your table or make a loud noise. So now they're kind of attention. Say, hey, look, don't bullshit me. I only want to pay this. We agreed to these numbers. That's it. You give me anything else different, you try to sell me anything, I'm out. Clear? Yeah, I got you. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and let's get started. Every time I've done that, usually it knocks it out of the ballpark and I don't have to deal with these knuckleheads or these idiots. And I promise you, if you do that same thing and be a little stern, it'll definitely work for you. But anyways, I would love to hear your comments and concerns down below. How do you feel about the current dealership market? Do you have a good dealership experience? Because not all dealers are bad. There are some good dealers out there. So I'd love to hear the good, the bad. Share them in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Lucky Lopez. And if you have any video ideas, please put them in the comment section below. I have a bunch of new videos coming out that I think you guys are going to like, and we'll see you next video.